Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. And today we are going to recap the draft of the NFC West and the AFC West, which we'll start with the NFC West, Maddie. And you do realize only one team in that whole division had a first round draft pick?
Yeah, I mean, for some, that has worked. For some, it has not. And I think if we judge their drafts in the context of their entire offseason, then that's how the grades are probably going to come down the best for this division, certainly. And why don't we kick things off with, let's say, the Super Bowl champions, the Rams, who have obviously got the least draft picks out of all of these guys. But on my end, and what I've seen on the internet is a lot of people like slating their draft, saying it's shit because they haven't picked up anybody till the third round. But let's be real, it worked. They won a Super Bowl. They won their Super Bowl. So therefore, it has worked. A star. They won the Super Bowl.
Where they put stress on themselves is they have to hit in the third, fourth, fifth round. They have to hit, but they have. With the model they're doing, they have to get starters in those rounds to play, but they've done it. So if they wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't be sitting where we are. They got a really good scouting department. It seems like a good GM who's not afraid to make moves. And if you look at what they do, yes, at some point they're going to have some cap issues, but not as bad as most people think because they front load the fuck out of these contracts and they pay you right now.
Yeah, and also at the same time, it helps to have Sean McVay as your head coach, offensive coordinator, who's just a fucking genius. And he's going to be one of those guys you can make, like Kyle Shanahan, he makes like 4th, 5th, 6th rounders work in his offense because he schemes them open a lot of the time and they're not as great when they go anywhere else. But it's got to be an A-star for their draft because their draft includes the picks that they gave up to get Matthew Stafford, and they've won a Super Bowl in Los Angeles. And that's what they've set out to do in their new stadium, this star-studded city. They're now the stars of the NFL because they're the NFL champions.
I give their front office an A. Right now, I give their draft a C plus with the opportunity to be better depending on how they turn out. Because I only dropped them a little because they don't have those picks, and they gave up a lot of picks over the years, which could be starters. So if, Logan Bruce, guard out of Wisconsin, I think he'll be able to play. It's just if these guys don't fucking turn out, then it blows up in their face. But nothing has shown to me that they're not gonna because they've proven the track record of what's that shirt say? Fuck first round picks. Isn't that the shirt they were selling?
Yeah.
So I get it. Fuck them picks. That's what it was. Fuck them picks.
Yeah, fuck them picks. And honestly, I just don't. They've won the Super Bowl. They've won the Super Bowl that they set out to win. Therefore, their draft has worked perfectly. And they may not create a dynasty because they're not backing everything up. But the Rams didn't look like they were ever going to be a dynasty for a long time ago when Jeff Fisher was in charge of them. And now they've won their Super Bowl. And they still probably are one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl again this year as well. And they've won it in LA. And it's a massive thing to do. I also really like Logan Buss. I think if you're going to try and make sure you have a starter in a third round, an offensive lineman from Wisconsin is always a good way to go. He's also incredibly versatile to help out an aging offensive line. I think it's a good pickup for them for the way that they need to draft. I think Wisconsin kind of brings up the most NFL-ready offensive lineman out of most colleges. Durant provides a nice bit of depth for them as well, which like with the bundle that they've got, if they get a shit ton of injuries, then they are fucked. So they do need depth a lot of the time. I think they should be disappointed that they weren't able to resign Von Miller, but with the way that their cap space kind of works, it would be difficult to sign Von Miller. And they need to stop playing around with OBJ. Just give the guy like minimum and just make sure he's on the roster for when he's eventually fit because he was going to be your Super Bowl MVP.
I know, but they got Robinson now. Like they're still, even without OBJ, they're set at receiver. I don't think
Mm,
Von Miller was that big of a loss. I think getting Aaron Donald to come back was fucking huge.
yeah.
And you got to ask yourself, are they going for a dynasty? I don't know because I don't know the guy's mindset. But how long is Sean McVay going to stay when just this last offseason he got offered $20 million to go announce games for Amazon, and he's like, nah, I'm going to go back for the 8 coaching or 6 or whatever the fuck he's making. But I'm sure they gave him a bump after the Super Bowl, but it ain't 20. So how long does Sean McVay want to coach? That's a big question because there's people out there willing to shovel money at that guy to get on TV.
Yeah. Also, to make him a coach, you've got to think that a lot of people will give up a shit ton of money just to get him to come maybe fix their team for 3 years
Right.
before passing it on to somebody else. Like Dallas, Sean McVay, come and fix us, and then passes on to somebody else. Like, and from your coaching tree, give one of your assistants a chance at here in Dallas. Like that kind of thing would work. Pass on your knowledge to Kellen Moore. Like that kind of thing would be
Your
brilliant.
next coach is Sean Payton.
Oh, it fucking better be. I'll be
It
so
is
happy.
after this year when you don't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because if you win the Super Bowl, that's all out the window. Then McCarthy's
It's,
staying as long as he wants. But if you don't win the Super Bowl, Sean Payton is your fucking coach next year.
yeah, definitely. And I just think, like, but back to the Rams, we don't know what their target is because it's never been done before. It's kind of been like hinted to before, but it's never been done to
Hey,
this extent before. So if their thing is we need to bring a Super Bowl to LA, then they've done it, and it doesn't fucking matter what they do for the next 3 seasons.
the kid's name is slipping my mind, but the one I wanted the Vikings to draft in the 3rd round that the Patriots drafted in the 1st. Um, you
Oh,
know the
Cole Strange.
yeah, Cole
Yeah.
Strange. I remember after the night of the draft that McVay was laughing because their GM thought they could get Cole Strange in the 3rd round with their first pick. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's just weird. The NFL is strange.
Yeah, the Patriots really fucked that. Because what the Patriots could have done is taken him in the 2nd round. There was nobody taking him in the first. But anyway, that doesn't matter. That's by the
Right,
by.
right.
By the by. Yeah, the Rams have succeeded in their goals. So therefore, it's an A. And it doesn't matter. People are judging this wrong. Like, yes, if you do judge their draft, then it's a C plus, C, maybe even a D, because they didn't draft anyone. They don't really have anybody to draft because they don't have any draft picks because they've given it all away. But that's not what it should be judged on.
Well, where you want to go from here, Maddie? Where should we go from the Super Bowl champs
Well, I
to?
mean, let's go to possibly the best roster in the NFC West to the worst roster in the NFC West. And I will have no possibly said about it. The Seattle Seahawks, absolutely terrible. I don't care who they drafted. I don't give a shit. Because if your quarterback room is Drew Lock, if your quarterback one is a choice between Drew Lock and Geno Smith, then you've got an F. You have an F. No matter what happens, no matter who you drafted. They could have drafted fucking like DK Metcalf could have been like, yep, let's get all of my best wide receiver buddies together. And they could have got Amari Cooper. They could have got every single wide receiver one, and they'd still have an F because they have Drew Lock and Geno Smith thrown it to them. They're absolutely shocking. F.
So this is what blows me away. You traded away Russell Wilson. You still only have 1 first-round pick this year, 1 3rd-round pick, 1 4th-round pick. Like, this is how bad you had fucked your team up coming into this year. You trade away your best player, and you still don't have a shit ton of draft picks.
You just don't have anything. And what really, really nails the coffin here is actually how well they've done to kind of fix the offensive line that Russell Wilson had been begging them to fix for years. And Charles Cross, great pick, pointless because you have Drew Lock and Geno Smith to throw the ball. Pointless pick.
And they did Bobby Wagner dirty.
Yeah, I mean, you lost the only other leader on your team. Honestly, it's
And didn't
shit.
even tell him. He had to find out on the fucking TV.
They're shocking. I don't know what they've done. Abraham Lucas, good, solid offensive lineman, really good pick. Pointless because you fucked your entire team. So it just doesn't matter what they've done in this draft. It's an F because they have Drew Lock and Geno Smith at the back.
You went from a top 10, maybe arguably a top 5 quarterback to one of the worst quarterback rooms in the NFL.
You have a Hall of Fame quarterback to like. Could they have not just got a better quarterback? There had to be a better quarterback out there than Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Like, all we know about Drew Lock is he is maybe good enough to be in the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's maybe the best. And we know that Geno Smith is, although better than people give him credit for, people think he's one of the worst quarterbacks that they've ever seen. So, yeah, better than you give him credit for. Still probably not top 32. That, like, why not? Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, why are you drafting Boy Maffey? I like Boy Maffey. I like him a lot. Physical freak, could provide some big plays. Obviously, they've lost Carlos Dunlap as well. It's not helpful. But could provide some big plays. But why there are you not taking Malik Willis or somebody, just a quarterback to be excited about?
You took an edge rusher from Minnesota who does not blow up off the screen. He doesn't, like, he's solid. He's good. He's got a he does not just jump off the screen when you watch him. And I agree with you. You could have done other things. I don't think he's a bad draft pick, but he ain't going to change the fucking world for you. And like you were saying, the team, like, I don't know what they're building around now. You went from a Hall of Fame quarterback to this. Why didn't you sign even a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who was a free agent, over Drew Lock? Because Drew Lock couldn't beat Teddy out when Teddy was healthy.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one team who could probably trade for Baker Mayfield, and it makes sense to, like, pay him his $19 million. Like, them and the Carolina Panthers are probably the two teams. Like, I'm not sure what the Seahawks would have given to get Baker Mayfield from the Browns. I'm not entirely sure what, because they don't have any fucking thing to give because they have no decent players and no good draft picks. But you could have given something like maybe a third would be enough to get Baker Mayfield in the current situation. But the way that Cleveland are talking about it, probably not. And why would Baker want to go there? I just don't. They look like they're tanking. They look like they're tanking is what, like, from the outset. I just don't understand. Even if you didn't like any of the quarterbacks, at least there's a sense of mystery about the quarterbacks you bring in. Like, all we know about Drew Lock is he might be one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL on a good day. When he's not making terrible decisions, he might be one of the 32 best. Whereas Malik Willis, we don't know fucking shit about him because you don't really know what the translation from college is going to be, especially with a guy like Malik Willis. And that's the guy that they should have taken. It's a horrendous draft. I feel sorry for all 49ers, Seahawks fans, sorry. They're the 12th man up there in Seattle. They're an incredible fan base, and they fucked them.
Yeah, and at least if you'd have took a young quarterback, you'd have gave your franchise some hope. Like, there's not even hope there right now. You know what I mean? Like, the fans got nothing to cling to. At least if you'd have brought in Malik Willis, they could be like, okay, we might have a rough year or two, but we got Malik. You know, you could, as a fan, feel good about it. I don't know what they're feeling good about right now.
If you take Malik Willis in the second round, I don't know if he was still there when they picked in the third round. I can't quite remember. But if they took Malik Willis in the second round,
which they
then and the rest of their draft makes a lot more sense then. Like, here's the real one. Boy Maffey, fine. Badass edge rusher, so it's fine, makes a bit of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Walker, although an incredible running back, finished 6th in the Heisman. But when you're in the state of the Seattle Seahawks, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? And it's not like that. Like, yes, there's injury problems with Chris Carson's. Yes, there's injury problems with Rashad Penny. Yes, there are injury problems. But you just have general good player problems in Seattle. Like, surely Malik Willis fits there.
And if you get somebody else, don't take a running back. And let's say you get into training camp and you're halfway through training camp and you're like, holy fuck, we need a running back. there's a ton of teams you could call and trade for their number 2 running back, right?
Alex Madison.
Yeah, or maybe you don't want the money, but you could probably get Zeke away from the fucking Cowboys at this point, or you could maybe call the Browns and get one of their 2 running backs, or they're running 3 deep right now, actually, in fucking Cleveland. There is teams you could have made a trade for if you really need a running back. So why the hell, or you wait till somebody cuts somebody because they don't need him and he's still a good running back? I'm agreeing with you. Like, Walker is not going to change life in Seattle.
The thing is,
that you got 5 years usually on a guy, you're in a rebuild mode for 3 of them.
Yeah, and who's the quarterback that's meant to be coming out next year?
Well, there's a handful of them, right? Like
the top one, Young, is that his name?
Spencer Rattler. Oh.
No, but Spencer Rattler is the person who I'm going to be using for this example. So basically, if you're tanking this year, what if they all fucking Spencer Rattler? What if they're all Spencer Rattler and exactly the same thing happens? All you could have done was take Malik Willis, and if he's absolutely horseshit, then you haven't lost anything. You've lost Ken Walker, and now Ken Walker is going to come in and he's going to be the best running back that the world has ever seen. But he wouldn't be the best running. Like, just in Seattle, it doesn't fit right. It would still be terrible process if Ken Walker's a Hall of Famer. I can't remember who we were saying this about the Packers.
Patriots.
All the Packers picks.
Patriots too. Yeah.
Patriots too. All of their picks could be Hall of Famers, and the process would still be wrong. Like, it's
right.
That's what's happened with Seattle. Oh, that's terrible. That's the worst draft I've seen in my entire life.
Well, before we move on, because I think you pretty much summed it up on this Seahawks, let's throw it over to our boy Freezes for a quick word.
Overtime hustling.
What's good? It's your homie, Freezes Christ. Y'all know the deal. Make sure y'all head on over to overtimehustling.com where you can catch all the latest merch, all the newest mags, all the media, everything, know what I mean? And you can also find me on Winging It with the homies Keith G, King Dale, and Payne Gusto. And you can catch me on Turf Tales with the homie SK, as well as Backblocks, you know what I mean? And if you got nothing to do on Sundays, even if you do got something to do, make sure you tap in the Overtime Reactions hosted by the homie Cuzzo. And I cannot forget the homie Jay over there at the Yankee and the Brit channel. So make sure y'all go over there and check them out. And hey, check me out, your boy Freezes, on that Real Talk with Jay. It was a hell of an interview, yo. Gotta do it again. I keep saying it because I mean it. We gotta do it again. I had a great motherfucking time. But anyway, you know who it is. Freezes H, OTH, Yankee and the Brit, Winging It, Turf Tales, Overtime Reactions, Chronicles Podcast. You know the drill, Cush's Corner. It's a motherfucking movement. So move with it. Or move out the motherfucking way. Simple and plain.
Overtime hustling. We hustling overtime.
All right. Yeah. He does the best voiceover of anybody ever. When I asked him for that voiceover and he sent me the voice with the head, and I was like, bro, that is perfect. Thank you.
I was genuinely saying that going into the co-op today. I was like walking to the gym and I was like, it's a motherfucking movement. So get out of the way. Like, I was like, it's like bars. The quarterbacks I was thinking of.
My wife gets a kick out of every time he says, I had a great motherfucking time.
I had a great motherfucking time. Let's do it again because I fucking mean it. It's like so nice. But if you say right, that could be a script in Peaky Blinders and would sound fucking evil. But like,
no spoilers. I still have to watch the last season.
Right, got you. But right, the quarterbacks I was thinking of that could Spencer Rattler this year, if this is who Seattle's looking out for, and they still could have taken Malik Willis, and if he was shit, then taken these two, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, and obviously Spencer Rattler is still somehow qualified as top 3 quarterbacks in college football right now. So yeah, those guys could fucking suck, and it wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, and we got 3 years until we see Arch Manning, so you know.
Maybe that's who they're playing for. With a draft that bad, that's who they could be playing for.
All right. Where do you want to move? You want to go Cardinals? You want to go the Niners? Where are we headed?
Yeah, let's head down to Arizona, shall we? Because there's not a lot to talk about here either. The best thing that they've done this offseason, hold on to Kyler Murray. Well done. Seem to
I know they get
watch
hate
that.
for the Hollywood Brown move. I like it. I don't care what anybody
Yeah.
says. They're friends. They played together. I like this starting. We talked about this when 2 drafts ago when they like getting Tua, a guy he played with, getting Burrow, a guy he played with. I like that kind of shit.
Yeah, it's a nasty fucking wide receiver core that they've built there as well. It's not like it's not like it's a horrible wide receiver core that they're bringing
Well, you
out there.
got 4 games without Hop, but you'll be fine.
Yeah, so you've got 4 games without Hop. You've also got Hollywood Brown. Who else is out there? Young kid.
I just went blank.
Waddle like.
They got tight ends for days too with
Oh.
Eifert.
Yeah, exactly. So they have they have their tight ends as well with Zach Ertz and Max Williams and
AJ
stuff as well.
Green.
AJ Green still out there.
Yeah.
Randall, that's who I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
Randall. Now he's an absolute weapon. I reckon he's going to break out this year. Like, so when you say it like that, it's like, oh shit, you add Hollywood Brown to that, you get rid of a first round pick. Like, who are they really going to pick up with that first round? That's better than Hollywood Brown as well. Like, it doesn't really make sense. Hollywood Brown's only problem was he was the number 1 receiver in a place where there weren't any other receivers. He was the number 1 out of no one. So,
and you're playing with a quarterback who likes to throw to his tight ends and Lamar more than
exactly.
receivers. So, like, I get it. Like he said, I love Lamar. I love Baltimore, but I want to be in a different system. I get it.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit for a wide receiver, and it definitely doesn't fit for the wide receiver Hollywood Brown style. Like, if you're Des Bryant and you're like, yeah, I'm the big dude here, like, that makes a lot of sense. But Hollywood Brown, he's the only person that you have to cover downfield in the Baltimore Ravens thing. Whereas here, he's going to be open like a decent amount of the time. And with Kyler Murray, you have some serious quarterback play. I mean, he's like Lamar Jackson but he's better at throwing. So there you go. Trey McBride, interesting pick, considering the amount of tight end weapons that are hanging out there. It's weird. It basically means that Max Williams is probably on the trade block, right?
Well,
if you got Zach Ertz.
Maybe, but like Williams is more of their blocking tight end. I think they bring him in when they want a 6th offensive lineman, probably more. But most teams keep 3 tight ends, so it depends on what they want to do. But Ertz, I thought, was a great move last year. Awesome. Okay, so you have Ertz, you have your young guy, you're got depth at your offensive line. You brought in running backs, you brought in DBs, you brought in Maddie's favorite linebackers. Like, I don't hate what they did. I gave him just a plain old C. I don't think it was bad at all.
I gave him a B because they managed to keep hold of Kyler Murray. I imagine he's quite happy with the business that they've been doing as well. Like, I imagine the business that they've done in the draft has convinced him a lot more to stay. I think it looks good for him. I kind of like, with Chandler Jones moving on, that's probably the blemish on their offseason as a whole. Chandler Jones leaving. But I like that they attacked the edge with Cameron Thomas and Marjay. That works for me. With people on the edge, I'm terrible at assessing whether they're going to be any good. I'm going to be very honest with that, because with the edge, you don't really
are horrible at it.
Yeah. With the edge, you don't know. Like, you just have no idea. Chances are they've got good production in college. They're going to have pretty decent production in the NFL. But there's sometimes guys that were just in the wrong system at college and things like that, and they just absolutely pop off. And like, this could happen with edges. So I like that. Yeah, exactly. So I like Alden Smith. So I like I like kind of like the process here. And then Sanders is a good physical guy with good attributes. Marjay Sanders had the good physical attributes and production as well. So chances are they'll translate quite well. Maybe not Chandler Jones level, but a nice pickup. B.
And I felt bad for Marquise Hayes, not because he got drafted by the Cardinals, not any of that. This is a guy, if he would not have got drafted, would have got paid a lot more as an undrafted free agent.
Mhm.
So it was a great pickup, but this guy was going to be at the top of everybody's undrafted free agent list. Probably would have got paid more to come in, but I think he was a
Good
great
pick.
pickup for them because you always need depth and he can be a swing guy, play different positions. But when it comes to the Cardinals, I just don't. Oh, and by the way, just I misspoke earlier. It's 6 games for Hop, not 4. But I don't think they needed to add a ton. They needed to add depth and get guys who can build because that defense is still going to be rocking.
Yeah, definitely. It's the fastest defense in the league. Let's be real; they'll just fly to absolutely everybody. And what's killed the Cardinals every single year is injuries. I think what they could have done is picked up one of the quarterbacks in like the 3rd or the 4th round to kind of back up Kyler Murray. I don't think that would have been a bad idea. Then you might have lost Kyler Murray in terms of whether he was going to come back. So I don't know. Like if you consulted with him, then maybe like a Sam Howell, like see what you might have there. Like take Sam Howell just because chances are Kyler Murray's going to miss a few games in the near future. So maybe it's not a bad idea.
He's the one guy at quarterback you can't piss off because he's actually got another option for professional sports.
Yeah, and it'd be better for his longevity as well if he went and played baseball, just because he's not going to get smashed about. Yeah, and he also makes the Arizona Cardinals relevant. Like, it's not the biggest market, is it? Like Phoenix, Arizona, not a huge market. I mean, it is becoming a capital kind of sports city. Phoenix Suns obviously playing very well.
The fastest growing city in the United States.
Yeah, but it's not a big market yet. So I feel like
no, but it is. That's what I'm saying, though. It is the fastest growing city right now in the U.S. So they're like, that's why, like, their hockey team better get a new stadium or they're going to lose them. Like, there's things happening in Phoenix now that it's popping in Arizona.
Yeah, definitely. So it's good that they hold on to their star quarterback for those kind of reasons as well, because when you're the fastest growing city, where are those people coming from? Are they bringing, like, is there a lot of people leaving California maybe who are 49ers supporters? Well, you're going to have to steal them somehow. Like that kind of stuff. And speaking of stealing 49ers fans, let's move on to the San Francisco 49ers off-season. I don't know how to rate this because all I can see from that offseason as a whole is Trey Lance might be terrible. That's what I can see from this.
It's not going to happen.
Why are they holding on to Jimmy Garoppolo if Trey Lance?
Because they're stubborn as fuck, too. They're doing the same thing. They turned down 2 second-round draft picks because they think he's worth a first. And you guys are going to end up eating it for being dumb. And even if Trey Lance sucks balls, you burned the bridge with Jimmy. It's over. You got to go.
Yeah, and
Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey Lance better be fucking good, by the way. Like, the only way that Kyle Shanahan could have got fired is by this move. This is the only way that he could get fired, and whoever the GM is. Because they've been incredible. They've been absolutely incredible since they got to San Francisco. They got them to a Super Bowl. They were a Jimmy Garoppolo shitty throw away from being Super Bowl champions. So the only way that they can fuck this up is by doing exactly what they did do. Now, if Trey Lance is unbelievable, fine. I'll eat my words. But just the way that they're behaving doesn't fill me with loads of confidence. That being said, I like their draft.
I'm questioning the Drake Jackson pick. And the reason I question it is, as a true freshman, he was fucking amazing. But he did not develop at USC like you thought he was going to. So he's another one of those guys. He's either probably going to be boom or bust. If he's boom, fuck, you just hit gold. But if he's not, you just wasted your second-round pick and you don't have a lot of picks. And so for me, as a team who gave up a ton of picks to get a quarterback, you better be solid in your drafting. And I think you took a chance on a guy who's boom or bust in the second round. And I just don't like the thought process of doing that.
So the PFF spoke about this. recently on their podcast, and not about Drake Jackson particularly, but just about the idea of taking guys who boom in college. So a lot of people take guys who have the physical attributes but haven't ever shown the production. Why would you do that? Like, you need to say he has the potential for elite level production. A lot of the guys footballing peak in terms of physical ability is in college, and they're playing against guys who maybe aren't the fucking smartest guys ever, so you could just run them over the top. At least Drake Jackson has shown that ability. So I don't hate this pick. I think it's good value, but only based on if he does it. Because USC's been in a shithole for the past 2 years, 3 years. It's not been a good place to play.
And they're moving to the Big Ten.
Yeah. I mean, they do have Lincoln Riley now, right? So that might help a lot. But it's been a shit place to play for a while. So maybe having seen he comes in as a true freshman, smashes it out of the park, maybe it's USC who then stunt his growth. So maybe if he comes up to San Francisco, then that's where they do hit on low round draft picks quite a lot of the time due to their good coaching, especially with the fact that Nick Bosa's there. That's going to help them, right? I guess it's the best situation for a guy like that.
No, and I like guys like this. I don't like guys like this in the second round. That's what so like, to go back to the Minnesota Vikings,
Yeah.
Danielle Hunter had all the attributes: size, speed, skill, body type, like leverage, all of that. We didn't draft him until the middle of the third round. And yet, fastest edge rusher to 50 sacks under 25, became a monster. But we didn't risk a first round draft pick on the guy in case he was a bust. So I feel like with your first pick, this is my problem. It's that it's your first pick. You took a risky draft pick, but like I said, if he pans out, then and you're a fucking genius. But if he doesn't, don't you almost set your team back, being that you don't have a first round pick next year either?
I think Nick Bosa might help. Nick Bosa being there might help him out, just because it kind of blows up some channels and shit for him to play in as well. Like, he's never going to be double covered, is he? So we can see. I guess if you're going to do it with your first pick, then at least it's the 49ers that you're going to do it with. I don't hate that. I kind of like Tyron Davis-Price just because the 49ers adding a running back seems right. Like, that's how it feels. Like, it just feels right to me. He's a decent running back. He's a bit bigger and more physical than the kind of guys that they have. Danny Gray looks like a lot of fun for Shanahan to have. He looks like the kind of weapon where they can kind of just go, right, what have you got, Kyle? 4.3 40, decent hands, and just a bit of a fun piece for Kyle Shanahan to play with. I just find it surprising that they didn't trade Debo, because it feels like they're never going to get more for Debo as they would do now. They could have got a first-round pick this year if they traded Debo Samuels. And with Shanahan's offense, the reason that you're not paying Debo is because Shanahan's offense has made him open, and Shanahan's offense is the reason that he's so good. So why not trade him and just put in another piece, and then you would have a first-round pick? Seems weird to me.
I think they wanted that weapon. Like, Debo's such a weapon. For me, and this is the most 49ers pick ever, I really like the Brock Purdy pick out of Iowa State. Because he's a guy that has potential, but was at a lower level of comp, not lower level, but they didn't play USC all the time. They didn't play fucking Bama and whatever. And this kid showed that he's got some talent. So best place possible for him was with Shanahan. I'm actually interested to see if this kid turns out to something under Shanahan, either for them or somebody they can trade away in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's just in Shanahan we trust is a good mantra for the 49ers to live by.
I like drafting quarterbacks every year or two in late rounds. You never know if you hit a Tom Brady. Never know.
You never know if you get Dak Prescott in there. Dak Prescott isn't a fair analogy for that kind of stuff, I imagine. I think people just miss Dak Prescott. But I just think people miss
round. I'm thinking give me the 5th, the 6th. Well, you're not even the 5th. Give me the 6th and 7th round, the free agent.
Yeah.
Every year, give me one of those guys, even if he's an undrafted free agent. Let's see if we hit lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, even with Tom Brady, even with everything he's done, he would have still been the wrong person to take in the first round of the draft. Like,
Yeah,
if you think like
Michigan
that.
fucked that whole thing up with the Drew Henson thing, and that's why
Yeah.
Brady dropped, and that has a lot to do with Bo out of their coach, Bo Sheck Bembler. I can't even fucking talk today. You guys know what I'm talking about, Michigan fans. But he fucked that whole thing up by Drew Henson having the bigger name, but even though Brady was out playing him, and that became a bit of a shit show in itself.
Yeah, whereas with Dak Prescott, people were like, yeah, we just fucked that one right up. Like, we should have taken him second round. Like, he was obvious. Like, they look back at the film and they go like, yeah, obviously. Like, he's obviously better than the guys that we picked with that.
Who was the guy Jerry was going to draft in the third round and he didn't and is out of the league? I can't remember the quarterback. It don't matter. But you guys just be happy that Jerry didn't get that pick he wanted, or you don't have Dak.
100%. And that's who the 49ers could have. And what a division. It's still a good division, even though like nobody had any draft picks. The reason nobody have any draft picks is because it's a fucking unbelievable division. Apart from Seattle, who had the first round draft pick and have created the worst draft I've ever seen in my entire life. Not to go back to it too much.
Nothing like beating the dead horse. Okay. So out of the division that I think Maddie and I agree is going to be the division in the NFL, the one that's going to beat the hell out of each other, the one that might they're going to have the best teams, but they might beat the shit out of each other so bad this year that they don't even make it to the Super Bowl, maybe one of those teams. But I know this is about draft grades, but I'm going to throw this out here right now. Mark it down, write it down, take a picture, whatever you want to do, remember it, but you heard it here first. The Raiders winning the division.
Because they're the team that's probably going to beat the shit out of each other. Like, with everybody beating the shit out of each other, probably it's going to help them.
I like that team, and I like that they brought fuck Daniels in. I like it.
Yeah, should we talk Raiders first then? I mean, taking Devontae Adams on is an amazing pickup for them.
Another guy going back to play with his college quarterback. I love it.
Yeah, that's their first round pick, isn't it, as well, Devontae Adams, and it just works well for them. You also love it because it kind of fucks the Packers over even more than they already were in their wide receiver room. I think Devontae Adams is an awesome pickup for them. I wasn't sure about Devontae Adams until this year. Like, I wasn't sure he was all that. Like, I felt like Aaron Rodgers was making him. But this year, I feel like, yeah, like he's the fucking dude. Like, he's probably top 5 wide receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, and they signed double X Max Crosby to an extension. They brought in Chandler Jones. These things have to be brought in if migrating their offseason. So to me, they get an A because I think they did a really good job drafting. And people are going to be like, they didn't have a first or a second round pick. Yeah, look what they got for these look what they did in free agency. I'll take Devontae as my first round pick. I'll take Chandler Jones as my second round pick in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? And then I think they did a good job of filling in needs, and they definitely need a D tackle. So they doubled down back-to-back picks on a D tackle. Not picks, but their picks, not like in the draft, but their last fourth, their first fifth. They doubled down on it. They were like, we're going to go get it. I like it. I like it.
Could they be trying to attack these new, because you've got to remember, like, these guys are all drafting to beat each other. They don't really give a shit about anybody else. They've got to draft to beat each other. Whereas other teams have the virtue of saying, how do we draft to make our team better? The teams in this division have to work out how to draft to beat the others. And have they maybe decided, do you know what? We're going to try and do this differently. And obviously with Chandler Jones and Max Crosby at D end on either side, you're able to do this as well. But could they say, hang on, we're going to just fucking attack these guys up the middle. We're just going to run straight up the middle and see what happens. And then put Max Crosby and Chandler Jones on contain because they'll just be fucking wild. If we get Patrick Mahomes right up the middle. If we get Russell Wilson right up the middle, then they're not going to have any time to run these crazy offenses that they've got a hold of. They could be trying to do things totally different. I also like Dylan Parriman, offensive lineman, because the Raiders' overhaul of the offensive line 2 years ago and last year as well, where Alex Leatherwood was their first overall pick. What the fuck? Like, honestly, it hasn't worked. So now they've got to fix that. And they brought in Dylan Perriman, who's very versatile and he's very athletic, and he helps start to kind of set some standards in that offensive line that is absolutely hot garbage from their picks beforehand as well.
Right. And now you go with Zamir White, running back out of Georgia. He should have went in the top 100 easy. So you got very good value for that pick. He's a tough runner. And then you go down to the 5th round with Butler. He is a gritty D tackle. Like, he is going to do the dirty work. He is going to get in there. He's going to take on the double teams. He's going to make sure that offensive linemen don't get clean to the second level. Like, this is a good – I like what they're doing. I think Josh McDaniels is a good head coach for them. We all do things better a second time around, so he won't have – and let's be honest, the only reason he got ran out of Denver is he got caught filming too. And nobody wants to talk about that. That's why he got fired. He got caught doing the same filming shit. And the owner of the Broncos, rest in peace, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the guy who passed. He wasn't putting up with it. He wasn't going to have that going on in his organization. So he fired McDaniels. But we're all better at second time around at doing things. So I think Josh McDaniels is going to be a great head coach for them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I don't think they're a bad pick to win the division either.
You know what? Any one of these teams could win the division, but I think the Raiders have a really good shot, and I'm riding with them.
Yeah, like it. Like a lot. Another one of these good teams that is vastly improved, more thanks to free agency than draft picks, is the Denver Broncos. And the Denver Broncos get an A for me because they've set up a team, they built a team, and all they've needed was a quarterback, and they've got Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's a Hall of Fame quarterback. 100%.
Bro, they traded for a Hall of Fame quarterback and still had 9 draft picks.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. They're like the opposite of Seattle. Like, how?
Shout out George Payton. Shout out their GM, George Payton. Yeah. Just shout out, man. Like,
yeah, 100%. And you know that they would have given up all of their 9 draft picks to get Russell Wilson. And Seattle just were like, oh no, we'll take a little bit. That being said,
picks.
Yeah.
On Wisconsin, baby. All right.
I'm not really overly keen on their draft picks too much. Like, I'm not like enamored with it. I'm not like, oh my God, they've absolutely smashed out of the park. But because they got Russell Wilson, for me, they get an A. I like Nick Bonito. Good physical features on the edge. I really like Ayimo as a rookie. I think D tackles are quickly becoming my favorite players as well. Like linebackers and D tackles. Like, I really like them. And they might be going with that idea of, yeah, let's fucking get some shit going up the middle as well as on the edge on some of these quarterbacks.
I think Turner Yell should have went in the 3rd round. So I think he was a fucking great pickup for them in the 5th round also. I will say that George Payton comes from the Rick Spielman. He was his assistant GM for years. We can talk all the shit we want about what Rick should or shouldn't have done in Minnesota, but the one thing we can't argue is Rick had an eye for talent and put a talented team together. He might just not have had the right coach or the right personality to run it or whatever, but talent-wise, he stacked up a team. So I got faith in George Payton to make good moves. He looks like it. Some of these dudes are, like we said, height, weight, speed guys, but that was something that Minnesota did in late rounds, and that's what he was doing in late rounds. So it's weird to me. I almost see a Minnesota draft for years in front of me. So yeah. I felt good about it. But like, I got more faith in Russell Wilson than some people. I don't know why some people think Russell can't play.
I think people are now worried about his height is a lot of shit that I've seen. And it's like, what? They're like, oh yeah, Seattle have schemed him holes so that he can throw. the Broncos will scheme him a fucking ice cream truck to come onto the pitch at halftime for him to eat anything if it's going to make him win. The Broncos are begging for another Super Bowl. They haven't actually been that good since Peyton Manning left.
And now they're owned by Walton.
They'll do anything. The Broncos will do anything to make sure that Russell Wilson can see the people downfield. And on top of that, Russell Wilson will be able to do anything. The good thing about Russell Wilson is he's a leader. He's a team first guy who's still saying go Hawks, even with everything going on up there in Seattle. Like, he's a team guy. He brings a good culture into the dressing room. He's not like other star quarterbacks that they could have got who maybe aren't the best for culture in a dressing room either. So he just brings a good feel to Denver Broncos. I like it a lot. Also, if you say that he has a weak arm, at least it'll look fucking mile high. So that's good.
The only problem I have with the Denver Broncos offseason is that they released that cheesy ass video of Russell Wilson going, "Let's ride."
I know exactly what you're talking about, but that suits Russell Wilson's image to a fucking T. Like, honestly, I hate it, but it is exactly what Russell Wilson needed to do.
You're right, but I fucking hate it. I hate it.
Be true to yourself, Russ. Be true to yourself. You're a cheesy motherfucker, and don't let anybody tell you different. I want to see a rap battle between him and Future. It would be the cheesiest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. That'd be great.
Hey, I don't know if you remember in the playoffs back when Seattle was playing Atlanta back in the day, they hired Future to play during warmups. Atlanta did. Hired Future to way to get in Russell's head. Like, your wife's baby's dad's playing on the other side of the field while you're warming up. Kind of weird. Hey, whatever you got to do to get an advantage.
Yeah, all you got to do is like, hey, I'm fucking your baby mama. Like, that's all you've got to do. Like, it doesn't really matter. He's won, as far as I'm concerned. Let's move on to the Chargers. Sorry, let's go to the Chargers. The Chargers, I absolutely love them. Think they're going to be a great team. Little confused with some of the aspects of their draft. However, I do love their offseason. Zion Johnson, solid O-lineman from Boston College. However, solid O-lineman from Boston College, Trent McDuffie, who is going to be a great cornerback in a division with Mahomes, Carr, and Wilson. Then your cornerbacks would have been Trent McDuffie, Asante Samuels, and J.C. Jackson. And that's got to be one of the best cornerback rooms in the entire league.
I think because they got J.C. Jackson is why they didn't, but I agree with you. Also, I can't argue with the fact of you're trying to protect your investment at quarterback because Herbert seems like he's going to be a baller and can play. He's already playing very well. He's probably going to be a top 5 quarterback at some point. So I get it. You're protecting your investment.
Yeah, it's just like it's the first time that the Chargers haven't needed to pick somebody offensive line in the draft for like 3 or 4 years, and they still did it. And it was like, oh, okay, you could have done bigger things than that. And Zion Johnson may be absolutely incredible, but he's also only played at Boston College, so it's not like he's been playing superstar D lineman the entire time. So,
I have a question for you though.
Hit me.
Why the hell did they draft 2 running backs? That still baffles me.
I can't work it out.
Okay.
I can't work it out. It seems weird. As Austin Eckler is fantasy football dream, right? Is what you've got in Austin Eckler. Not wanting to throw away the secrets that I'm going to be going into.
He's a top 5 running back last year.
Yeah, he's catching and running. Asante Eckler is incredible, so you don't need to, but I'm not sure where else they would throw these draft picks. I guess wide receiver. Like, what? The Chargers don't need any more talent. The Chargers don't need any more talent. What the Chargers need is a bit more, fuck you, I'm going to win. That's what they need. Like, that's what they need. They just need a little bit more of, I'm going to win. The only way that you're going to win this game is if you fucking kill me, come get me, that kind of shit. That Dan Campbell bite your kneecaps off. That's what the Chargers are missing. And 2 running backs, weird, but I don't know what else they would have really picked up there to make their team a lot better.
I thought they made some good moves. I gave them a
Mm.
solid B just because I like all the offseason moves that they did. They brought
Yeah.
in guys from free agency, Khalil Mack. They did
Yeah.
things they needed to do. So it was very solid. It was very par for the course on what you're seeing out of the LA team right now in the Chargers. They're just you can see they got a plan and they're just sticking to it and that they're going to trust the process. I like the process so far. We'll see what it. The only problem they have is every time they get better, the division around them gets better too.
Yeah. Every time. The Chargers are one of the most unlucky teams. Like the Raiders have fucked themselves enough times where you're like, yeah, you deserve kind of what's coming to you. But the Chargers, nobody hates the LA Chargers. No, there isn't a football fan apart from. I don't know if the LA teams have a rivalry. I know they're in different sides of like the NFC and the AFC. That's weird to me. I think you should be playing the LA teams against each other. Like the Manchester teams here in the UK fucking hate each other.
Yeah, but they won't do it because it would give both teams an extra home game.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like the Manchester teams here in the UK fucking hate each other. Like you hate the closest team to you. I don't know whether they have those kind of rivalries. They probably haven't had time to take root in LA anyway, just because they've only just moved there. So nobody really hates the Chargers, right? They're a really nice organization. Like their owner, they've been shafted with shitty ownership, and they're in possibly the best division in football. That like. Can you think of a time where a division's been more dominant than this division right now?
Not off the top of my head, anyway.
Like maybe like an old-time NFC East, like when the football team.
And the NFC North back in the 80s, like maybe sometimes, or 90s, I mean. 90s when you had Favre, Culpepper. But no, not 4 teams deep, though, because the Lions have always been the fucking Lions. And then
exactly.
So no, I don't think I've seen 4 teams this deep in a division.
The Eagles were always garbage back in the day, like for the NFC.
Yeah, you might have 3 teams, but this division has 4.
Yeah, exactly. And the Chargers, the Chargers won 15 games and still had to play up in the wild card, like because the Chiefs also won 15 games, won the head-to-head. Like that's what their division has been like for the past like 3 or 4 years. Like Phillip Rivers won 15 games with the Chargers and had to play in a wild card game. So like, like that's what their division is. So they're really unlucky to be in that division. If they were in the NFC East, they could like have won 14, 15 games last year. Yeah. I know. And then when we move on to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are probably still favorites to win, you look at their draft and you think, oh my God, they've lost Tyreek Hill. Right. Oh my God, they've lost Tyreek Hill. That completely changes what their offense looks like. Look what they got. Look what they got.
That's my thing. So I don't know if you've ever watched the football movie Varsity Blues.
No.
Well, okay, so there's a movie called Varsity Blues. It's most U.S. football fans have seen it. I am going to quote Billy Bob right now. I give it a 10. A 10. A fucking 10. Like, dude, it's an A. It's a fucking A. I don't care what anybody says. They had the best draft in the division. And I would argue that they're up there in the top best drafts in the NFL this year.
Who could be better than them? The Eagles, maybe?
That's
the Jets. Yeah, the Jets had a pretty wild
draft.
But
that's
the
like
Jets
so many first-round picks,
Yeah, the Jets was only really first-round deep. Like what the Jets did after that is a bit weird. Like it's maybe the Texans. The Texans had quite a good draft as well.
They're up there, though. All them teams are up there. And this draft for a team that was already stacked. And they brought MVS in the offseason. They made moves.
Which is huge. So it's going to be an interesting look into aggregate. So they've decided that the aggregate of Vallis Scantling, Sky Moore, they've picked up somebody else. They've picked up someone. Whoever they picked up, other wide receiver. They've decided that those 3 wide receivers are worth 1 Tyreek Hill. That's what they've decided. And their offense is going to look different this year. But if you've got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, doesn't fucking matter if your offense looks different. Doesn't matter at all. Because it's still going to be just as good, but you just don't have Tyreek Hill being a whip it absolutely everywhere. Who else did they pick up? Did you find out?
No, I was trying to look through and I didn't put it in my notes, but
but how does one team pick up McDuffie, Galifianakis, and Sky Moore? How does one team pick up those three guys? It's an incredible haul of picks. Cook comes into the rotation immediately, and Leo Chanel, great linebacker, absolutely awesome. Leo Chanel, sorry, absolutely awesome potential at linebacker as well. But let's focus on McDuffie, Galifianakis, and Sky Moore. How do you get those three guys?
Well, and on top of that, they re-signed Jared McKinnon, which if he could actually stay healthy is great out of the backfield, catching the ball too. You still got Kelsey, you still got Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't understand why people think that these guys just forgot how to play football.
I just don't. How have they got McCall Hardman is on their team still as well. Juju Smith-Schuster. We've got him.
Thank you. I'm going through all their transactions right now. Yeah, thank you.
I just went straight to the depth chart. Holy shit. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, we're back. Yeah. If you couldn't tell, for the last 2 minutes, we've both just been filling absolute bullshit because we haven't been able to realize that Juju Smith-Schuster is now a Kansas City Chief. Oh, my God. We're so shit at this, man.
Yeah, we're out of practice, Maddie. We're out of practice. We took too much time off.
Practice, too much holidaying.
Yeah, they're fucking straight. I don't care what anybody says. And they went into the 7th round and got a running back out of Rutgers, Isaiah Patrick, whatever. You say it, I'm not. But this kid can start for them over Edwards-Helaire and all the crappy shit he did to me in the fantasy league last year.
Yeah, definitely. Josh Gordon's wide receiver there now as well. Like if Josh Gordon,
right. He was on that team last year, but I forgot about him.
Yeah. You just can't keep it straight. So yeah, basically they've somehow managed to get a lot worse, and then in the next minute be absolutely well. They did exactly the same with their offensive line last year. Last year they were like, "Oh, finally the Chiefs have fallen. Their offensive line are all injured. They've left. They can't hold anybody." And then they just fix it in like one off season. They just go Orlando Brown, Joe Thuney, offensive line fixed, sorted. Then they lose Tyreek Hill, who, although Kelsey is possibly the more targeted player in that offense, the reason that he's so open is because Tyreek Hill stretches the field. But so what they've done is they've gone, right, Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Sky Moore will pick up the load for that, and then we've got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Anybody who watched Moneyball, it's the value of players, and it doesn't necessarily have to be one player to pick up the slack for one player. MVS will take the top off with his speed. Juju will get open and get receptions. So together, the sum of the parts are probably as good as they were with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. And that's not to say that Tyreek Hill.
That's not shitting on Tyreek.
Tyreek Hill's going to go to Miami and he's going to have an absolutely amazing season. Tyreek Hill's going to be incredible down in Miami. Tua can actually throw that far. But even if he doesn't, then like Tyreek Hill after catch yards, they still count for Tua. Like they still count.
Right.
So that he's going to be great. But they've just done it in a different way, and what they've done is managed to create an absolutely incredible offense just with 3 different plays instead of having one on the top. And it's just they're awesome. The Kansas City Chiefs is straight, and that division is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you almost make me doubt my pick after all that talk, but I'm still riding with the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean the Raiders are maybe about all-round team this year. Like the Raiders are quite a well filled out all round team. They do have the worst quarterback in the division now, which is ridiculous because Derek Carr is their quarterback.
Okay. If you're asking me to start a team, I would take Herbert over Carr. If you're asking me for next year, I would probably take Carr over Herbert just off the experience. So it depends where you want to go. Like Derek Carr did things with a team that should have lost so many games, and his leadership carried them. So I guess I don't want to I'm not shitting on Herbert. I just, for some reason, calling Derek Carr the worst quarterback in the division rubs me a little wrong.
No. So I agree with you, but it's calling him the worst quarterback in the division should rub you the wrong way because there's no way a division should be this stacked. There's no way a division should be this stacked when one division has Drew Lock as a starting quarterback in it, or maybe Geno Smith. On top of that, Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance is in the other one in the West, and then there's what is wrong with us today? We've just done this. And then there's Jesus. And then there's Matt Stafford and Kyler Murray, which are fair enough. But like Derek Carr in that division would be challenging for maybe top 2, like top 3. In our division, we have in the NFC East, there's Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz is somehow fucking still knocking about, and Daniel Jones. Like Derek Carr's challenging to be the top quarterback in that one, but here he's probably the 4th when Justin Herbert has another stellar year. Yeah,
I just have a problem putting a guy with a couple years experience in over a guy with a decade. It's rough on me.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I also
think Herbert's the real deal too, so I don't want to shit on him either, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. This division's ridiculous.
Maybe by the end of the year, Russell Wilson's the worst quarterback in the division.
100% when he can't see over his offensive lineman. That lots of people are saying.
I just brought that one to you. There you go.
Oh, man. All right,
guys. Well, I think we did it. We made it through all of our draft grades, and we're going to come back in the next few days or so to give you a video telling you what we think about Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield situations.
Yeah, definitely. That finally needs some coverage from us. We're planning on going back to dropping more videos, guys. We've taken some time off because we've both just been ridiculously busy. I'm officially a qualified teacher now, by the way, Jay. I haven't said this to you yet, but as of 2 days ago, I'm officially qualified to teach the youth of the UK.
Well, sir, I tip my hat to you.
Thank you very much, sir. So that's what's been going on with our year. So don't fucking hate us, guys. And Jay's just been absolutely smashing it, releasing video after video on the other Yankee and the Brit channels. So don't fucking hate us for being this shit. We're going to be so much better in the videos to come. And I'm so excited to get back into some football, and football season is just around the corner.
And guys, don't forget to pick up July's issue when it drops of Overtime Hustling magazine, because I've done some interviews for him in that magazine. So you know that shit'll be good just because I know. All right. Make sure you pick that up, though. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll get back rolling. We're going to hit training camp with a fucking vengeance. But we're going to come back with our Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield video, because at this point, you can't talk about one without talking about the other. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.